Hi there. It's the first day of the meteorological spring. Now, often at this time of year, weather can be a fickle beast, but on this occasion, it is far from it. In fact, March has arrived much more like a lamb than a lion. But will that continue to be the case as we head through the coming week? Let's have a quick look. This shows forecast temperatures at about 1500 metres above our heads. It gives therefore a very good indication of the air masses which are over the United Kingdom. That's inside the red circle. As I run the animation, what we see is the blues indicating rather cool air aloft, replaced by greens initially, then lime greens, and finally yellow shading. It means temperatures will be rising significantly at this level at least. But that doesn't amount to a hill of beans if it's going to be raining all the time, so is it? Well, the answer is no, it isn't, especially not in southern and central parts of the country. High pressure will be continuing to dominate there, but it's more mixed in the northwest because disturbances from the Atlantic are pushing in, hitting that part of the UK first, bringing a rain. But as it heads southwards and eastwards, the disturbances are fragmenting as they push into that area of high pressure. So amounts of rain in the south are likely to be very small. In the north, probably not great on the whole, but more significant in the northwest, so the Western Isles, Western Scotland, possibly Northern Ireland too. All the ingredients are in place, therefore, for temperatures to be rising on a day-by-day basis. And that's what the animation here shows. It's an incremental process, not dramatic, so going up by a degree or so on successive days. It means, though, we could see values reaching 17 or even 18 Celsius through the second half of the coming week in the south. It's reaching the time of the year where it's quite pleasant, potentially at least, to be sitting outside through the middle part of the day. The Ensemble data supports the same general trend. This shows the forecast maximums from all of the runs in the GEFS model, and it's for the London area. What we can see is it's going from the Saturday the 1st through to Saturday the 15th. After the first couple of days, it's the yellow shading which dominates for a period. Those runs going for between 11 and 15 degrees. I mentioned 17 or even 18. That's because in my experience, the Ensemble maximums often undershoot by a degree or two. Into the north of the UK, this is for Edinburgh. It's the same general trend. Yellows are increasing through the coming days. They become dominant on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. Over 50% of runs falling into that category. So even in this part of the UK, it's looking mild or very mild for a period for the time of the year. But there is more of a downwards trend later. Also, though, worth noting that some chilly nights continue to be expected, particularly in southern and central counties where clear periods will be developing more widely. Just to illustrate, this is forecast minimums at 06 GMT on Wednesday the 5th. Values just a degree or so above freezing in much of southern and central parts of Britain. So frosts remain a risk through the first half of the week, in particular in the south. I've mentioned rainfall being in short supply in southern counties. This data table just backs up the message. It shows the rain forecast from all of the runs in the GEFS model at a given point in time. For the London area, light grey is indicating no measurable rain at all, and 100% of the runs through the first 6 days are showing that to be the case. It's from around Friday the 7th that there are indications of it starting to turn more changeable. You can see some dark grey, purple, blue, and even a little bit of green showing up. In the north, it's a slightly different picture, in the northwest especially, so Glasgow here. You can see on the Tuesday the 4th, the column there has some purple, blue, green, yellow and dark grey. All of those are runs indicating varying amounts of rain. But even in the north, I would expect there to be a good deal of dry weather, just nothing like the extent of the dryness which we can probably expect in the south. The energy demand forecast is quite interesting. There's a downwards trend. So the energy demand forecast is shown by the red line on this graph. You can see it's a sawtooth pattern, and what that is pointing towards is demand increasing through the nights and into the early part of the morning due to heating requirements, and then falling away through the days as temperatures rise. But the general trend through the first week is a downwards one, but from around the 8th it goes into reverse, indicating the likelihood that temperatures will be starting to dip once more. And the Ensemble plot here for Sheffield backs up that message. You can see that from around the 8th of March, the thick purple line, the mean in the Ensemble, is dipping below the thick black line, the 30-year average, and quite a lot of the runs there, each one is shown by an individual line, are going for quite cold air aloft to be returned. You can see values there dipping between -5 and -10 degrees. As I say though, do remember these are forecast values at about 1,500 meters above our heads, but they show that a colder air mass could be returning. Also, look at the number of spikes along the bottom. Each one of those is a forecast of rain at the given time. Virtually none through the first 4 or 5 days, but then from around the 7th, the 8th of March, they start to increase in frequency and height. More runs going for measurable amounts of rain. We're reaching the time of year as well where interesting synoptics tend to become more likely to develop. High pressure building further northwards, as this indicates. It's just a snapshot of one computer model run. A long way ahead, Thursday the 13th of March, but it has high pressure to the north of the United Kingdom, close to Greenland, and in turn that's allowing very cold Arctic air to be displaced southwards to mid-latitude locations. It's reaching the northern half of the UK here, but I'm just using it to illustrate the potential of what can happen, especially as we head deeper into March and into April. And that is often connected to developments in the stratospheric polar vortex. It begins to weaken and break down. The final warming is often in April. There are indications this year that we'll be having a sudden stratospheric warming in March, and it may well be the case that the stratospheric polar vortex doesn't recover from that. But lots of people will tell you that a sudden stratospheric warming event means cold weather in the United Kingdom. It does not. What it suggests is a greater chance of cold weather, but it all comes down to where those high pressure blocks become situated. As the effects of the sudden stratospheric polar vortex warming event filter down to lower levels in the atmosphere, high pressure blocks tend to build at high latitudes in the northern hemisphere. Hence the cold air being displaced down to mid-latitude locations such as the UK. But it's quite possible, as we've seen a number of times in recent years, that those pressure blocks will align themselves in such a way that we end up with very mild conditions, not cold ones. It's just about the probability of cold conditions, not a definite outcome by any means. Well, in like a lamb, and that's how March looks like continuing through the coming week. Temperatures will be climbing through the days, but the nights are remaining chilly, particularly in southern and central counties. Mostly dry in the south, a greater risk of rain in the north, especially the northwest. And then perhaps becoming more mixed generally as we head towards and into the second week of the month. Temperatures also could well be dipping by that point. Anyway, I hope you found this useful and enjoyed it. Please hit the like button below if you did. Also consider subscribing to the channel if you've not done so already. And remember though to stay up to date with the day-to-day weather developments by checking out the TheWeatherOutlook.com website. Thanks very much now. Bye.